coming up on DITV. See how politicians in Washington are reacting to the release of the Mueller report.
And later, if you are looking for a furry friend, we'll tell you the perfect place to find one.
Will Anthony Nelson leaving early for the NFL draft pay off? I'll tell you our draft projections in sports.
And I've got your entire summer forecast coming up in weather.
All that and more coming up on this Friday morning edition of DITV.
Don't go anywhere. DITV starts right now.
Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Abby Napolis.
And I'm Jacob Gunther. A second case of measles has been officially confirmed in Iowa. The Iowa Department of Public Health reported that the person with the diagnosis had just traveled to Israel, which is currently experiencing an outbreak of the disease. The individual diagnosed in the first case, which was confirmed earlier this week, is a household contact of the new case. The two cases are the first reports of measles in Iowa since 2011. Measles symptoms include fever, running nose, cough, and a rash, and can be highly contagious to people who are unvaccinated and potentially fatal.
The redacted Mueller report was released to the public on Thursday with mixed reactions across the country. California Representative Adam Schiff was quick to speak about the release of the report.
The facts that are now established by this report are damning. Whether they could or should have resulted in the indictment of the president or people around him, they are damning. And we should call for better from our elected officials. The standard cannot simply be that you can do anything you like as long as you can declare at the end of the day, I am not a crook. That is not the ethical standard the American people expect in their president.
Senate Majority Mitch McConnell spoke to the press as well.
I haven't read the report yet. I think it's too early to start commenting on portions of it. I'm going to be interested in hearing what the AG has to say before the Judiciary Committee. But to start commenting on various parts of it when I haven't looked at it yet, I think it's premature.
The University of Iowa is closer to settling their legal dispute with Modern Piping over the construction of the Stead Family Children's Hospital. The UI accused Modern Piping of, quote, playing games, end quote. They said the university will not pay the remaining of the court-ordered award until it fulfills certain contractual obligations. The State Board of Regents is supporting the UI on their efforts. The project budget accounts for the $17.9 million that the UI owes Modern Piping, but the payments will be withheld until the company provides documents detailing their construction work as stated in their contract.
Well, Jacob, I know yesterday was a little bit chilly, but
I hope it warms up so that Bunny can hop in for the weekend. And we have Dylan here in the weather studio to tell you more.
Thanks, Jacob and Abby. Well, I hate to tell you guys, this morning is going to be a cold one. This morning we had a temperature of 46 degrees and partly cloudy skies with some winds right there in the morning. Now as we move into tonight, our temperature warms up a little bit as we have clear skies and a beautiful 51 degrees. Now as looking to the extended forecast for the week, as I mentioned, our high today will get up to 62, but it'll feel like much colder due to the 20-mile-per-hour winds that we'll be experiencing. Tomorrow we'll have a beautiful Saturday with our high at 69 degrees and a low early in the morning in the mid-40s. On Sunday, we get the warmest temperatures of the year so far, probably. We have a high of 79 degrees and partly cloudy skies with a low at 53 degrees. Finally, on Monday, we got a 50% chance of thunderstorms throughout the day with our high getting up to 67 and a low in the high 40s. Finally, on Tuesday, we have a slight chance of showers at around 40% with our high in the low 60s and a low in the mid-40s. Now, as I mentioned, we have that summer outlook for the temperatures from June to August. Now, as you can see here, we have below average temperatures up north and near or slightly below average in the Midwest. Now, this is due to the immense rain that we've gotten over these past 6 months, which has led to soil moisture in the ground, which then has a cooling effect on the rest of the plains in the Midwest right over there. Now, in the coast, though, there'll be above average temperatures out on the east and west coast, and that's due to the El Nino storms that they're projecting for this summer, which will then have a colder effect on the Midwest. So we're looking for a little below average temperature for the summer, but hey, we'll take anything we can get here in Iowa. Jacob and Abby, back to you guys at the desk.
Dylan Mahalki in the Weather Studio, thank you. For half a century, one Iowa City business has continued to keep its doors open to customers. The number of employees during this period of time? DITV's Trevor Rorison found out firsthand the personal experience of Iowa City's longest tenured barber.
52 years. That is how long Jim Friday of Friday's Barbershop has been cutting hair right here in this very building. And today, I'm going to become one of the many heads and faces Mr. Friday has taken on. He first learned about the profession during a career fair his sophomore year of high school in the early 1960s. Friday says the comfortability of being a barber compared to his previous jobs helped him choose this path.
First thing I noted was it's always inside, air conditioned, unheated, where the job I had for a plumber for one summer wasn't. It was out in the sun. And
becoming a master of his craft, Friday has gained loyal customers. One man told me he has made him his primary barber for 10 plus years. He said the quality and personal touch is what keeps him coming back.
He does excellent work. He's consistent every time. He kind of knows who you are and gives you a good haircut.
There's a reason why people have been coming back to Mr. Friday's place of business every year since 1967. And after my fresh cut and trim, I can finally see why. Reporting from Iowa City, Trevor Rorson, DITV.
Well, Jacob, I do know the NFL draft is coming up.
That's right, Abby, and it's going to be an exciting weekend, and we have Zach Lohman in the sports studio to tell us more.
Yeah, that's right, guys. There is less than a week until the NFL draft, and today we're looking at defensive end Anthony Nelson. Nelson was one of 4 Hawkeyes to announce that he'd hang up the black and gold a little bit early to head to the NFL, but it was not an easy decision.
I mean, it means a lot to me. Coach Ferentz, Coach Morgan, Coach Bell, Coach Doyle, all those guys that have helped me. And I love this place. I love the fans. I love playing in Kinnick, but just for me, it was time. I didn't have any more academic goals, and for me to be the best football player I want to be and be as good as I want to be, this is the right decision for me.
And looking at how Nelson played this year, it was definitely the right decision. In his junior year, he was in the top 20 nationally in sacks. It was in the second team All Big Ten team. It was constantly one of the most dominant players on the field. Because of this, his draft stock was high enough for Nelson to leave early, but he has no idea where he's going to end up.
I don't, it is a mystery, but I mean, that's not something I'm really worried about. It's something that'll happen, but wherever I go, I'm going to be grateful for the opportunity. And right now, like I said, I'm working to be a better football player, so when I step on in their facility, I'm going to be ready to contribute.
Now, there's really no question as to if he gets drafted, but rather where and when. Nelson's length, explosiveness, off-the-line quickness is why he's projected that he'll hear his name called as early as the 3rd round to as late as the 5th. I'm sure the offensive players are pretty happy they aren't playing to face Nelson in spring ball anymore, and even though they aren't facing Nelson, there are 2 offensive players in particular that have been making some noise this spring season. DITV Sports Director Lucy Rodin has more from Kinnick Stadium on who you're going to want to look out for next season.
Yeah, that's right. Wide receivers coach Kelton Copeland said that there are 2 young guys who are just standing out so far during spring ball, and those are receivers Nico Reganey and Tyrone Tracy.
If I had to point out certain guys, I hesitate to do so, but, if I'm being honest, up to this point so far, I would say Nico Reganey and Tyrone Tracy have made the biggest strides and the biggest effect offensively and in our room. Those 2 guys have really done a great job of just taking the lead, on the field, taking the lead as far as meetings. And you don't really see that a lot from young guys. So when you got 2 guys, especially that young, doing that, it's impressive. It catches our eye.
I always talk about how he pretty much just got here and he's playing like F, X, Z, and even he could play a little running back too if he wanted. So it's just amazing to me.
Looking ahead to next season, Iowa is really going to need strong years from both of those guys, especially considering that the Hawks lost 3 of their most productive players on offense with the graduation of Nick Easley and TJ Hawkinson and Noah Fant leaving early from the draft. Reporting from outside of Kinnick Stadium, Lucy Rodine, DITV Sports.
Last season, both Reganey and Tracy took advantage of the 4-game redshirt rule, where they were able to play the last season for 4 games and maintain their redshirt status. So we've already gotten a brief look at them. Without the spring game this year, it'll be tougher to get to see these guys before the season starts. But the Iowa Athletics Department is making up for it. This Saturday will be Hawkeye Football Day at Dwayne Banks Field for Iowa's baseball game against Nebraska, where football players will be signing autographs and meeting fans. And fans will also get the opportunity to see Iowa face off against the top team in the Big Ten this weekend when they host the Cornhuskers. We have DITV Sports reporter John Rawson standing by in the newsroom with more on the matchup. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Zach.
What can fans expect from Iowa in this series?
Well, Iowa has a tough draw. You mentioned it. Nebraska is the Big Ten's best. 10-2. They lost a pair of games to Minnesota, and one of those in a doubleheader, and then bounced back and swept both Purdue and Penn State. Now, those teams are near the bottom of the conference, so it doesn't look that great, but still winning 6 games in the Big Ten Conference in a row is pretty impressive. They're 21-11 overall, but more importantly, they're 12-4 on the road with a sub-4 ERA. They walk into hostile territory and they pull out wins. Now, Iowa, on the other hand, wins at home. They cannot be stopped. They just beat Northern Illinois in a gritty win where they had to go and win it in the bottom half of the 8th inning, and that was a win that they shouldn't have probably gotten, but their pitching staff came on late, and it was good for them. I do think Nebraska wins this series 2-1, though.
I couldn't agree with you more there. Are there any other injury updates for the Hawkeyes?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Lorenzo Elon, he pulled a hamstring running to first base. Head coach Rick Heller said he's probably about 90%. He was actually taking batting practice against Northern Illinois, and so is Tanner Padgett. He's been out for a long time. They do think he has a chance to play this weekend against Nebraska. Also, Mitch Bowe had a wrist injury sliding into second base. They do think he should play this entire weekend. They sat him out against Northern Illinois just as a precaution. But finally, this is the big news. Jack Dreyer is out for the season. Head coach Rick Heller confirmed on Tuesday, and a press release was just made yesterday. He's done for the year. Shoulder surgery is possible. They'll meet with the staff, and they'll figure it out from there.
That was John Rawson live in the newsroom. Thank you. First pitch of the weekend series is set for 6:05 at Dwayne Banks Field. Now come on back tomorrow to DITV Sports on Monday for results for Iowa series against Nebraska. Jacob and Abby, back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Zach. Well, spring is here, and it's finally nice enough to go outside for a walk. So if you're looking for a good 4-legged friend to take those walks with you, look no further. DITV reporter Sam Ostwick will tell you where you should or shouldn't adopt your furry new family member.
Adorable dogs and cats are hard to resist, like the ones sold at popular animal store Petland, a place that always seems to be busy, but they might be busy for the wrong reasons. People love to play with the animals, but can't always buy.
Would never buy these dogs just because they're like so expensive and like the shots and everything, but I love coming here like playing with the dogs because like they're so sweet.
I spent time with a cute King Charles Spaniel breed, and I learned she came with a hefty price tag of $2,900.
It might be tempting to buy these dogs, but you don't know the consequences that come with them.
These puppies are often badly behaved and don't have any paperwork to show where they came from. Lisa Bragg of the Iowa City Animal Shelter explains.
Pet stores will purchase their adoptable puppies from puppy mills. When you adopt an animal from a shelter, instead of buying one at a pet store, the shelter animals are all vaccinated, microchipped, and spayed and neutered. You know, the shelter does it all for you, and you still get to adopt the dog at $100.
Volunteers socialize with the shelter animals, and each animal has documentation on where they came from and their individual needs. Volunteers train the dogs on commands, so when you buy a dog for only $100, you're getting a dog that's ready to be brought home. Next time you're thinking of bringing a pet into your life, adopt and don't shop. There are some great animals at shelters. From the Iowa City Animal Shelter, I'm Samantha Ostwick for DITV News.
And now to put a spotlight on one of those special animals looking for a new home.
This week's furry friend, just in time for Easter, is Chachi. Chachi is a 6-month-old rabbit who is looking to find a spot in your home. Chachi is the perfect starter pet because of her low-maintenance personality. She is always hopping with energy and loves to play, but also enjoys sitting on the couch and watching Bugs Bunny cartoons. Thank you for tuning in to this Daily Iowan TV. I'm Abby Napolis.
And I'm Jacob Gunther. Have a wonderful day.